Hello and welcome back to the COD feed, the show where we talk about this weekend's best and worst in the CDL. I'm Scooch.
And I'm John.
And before we continue, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, because we are at 69 subscribers, one more to 70, baby. Let's hit that 70 mark, guys.
Please.
Come on. Please. We're right there. We're so close. And also don't forget to give it a like before we continue.
Please.
All right, so this weekend, a big weekend. We took a week off last week because, it seems like people are getting a little overwhelmed with so much video content. But we're back.
We were working on something, but
yeah, we just had the major weekend, OpTic Texas major. Seems like the event was great. Overall, it seemed like the crowd was pretty great as usual in Texas. Of course, 80% of the fans there are usually OpTic fans. Makes sense.
Maybe more.
Yeah, maybe more. We had a lot of things happen this weekend. We had, one of the main things, our cities, Guy had to come off after a map 1 loss in one of the series. We hope he's doing great mentally now. We hope he's, recovered. He's been tweeting again, joking around with people, and, I hope he's good.
He was on Scump's, his watch party.
The watch along.
Yeah, he said it was mostly his hand. It just swelled up, he said.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
because
he tried playing, but he tried
Yeah.
playing, but he said he just couldn't.
Yeah. And then we also saw Pred, I think, after one of their losses, kind of, put his face in his hands. We saw, I think, someone on Thieves as well. I don't know. Just a lot of emotions.
I think it was Bance.
Yeah, it was Bance. Yeah, Bance and Rocker. Yeah, Bance and Pred both kind of did the same thing. A lot of emotions, it seems, at this major. I think a lot of pros are starting to come to the realization that, this tournament style is not the best. And one of the first ones to really speak about it, and we're going to go into the team as well, TJ from Legion, who ended up placing 5th/6th place and won $20K. They beat Thieves. Now, before the tournament, TJ was complaining on Twitter, and I think rightfully so, and, we kind of talked about this before, that the tournament style is not the best, doesn't allow for the most, first off, entertainment. It's kind of a very cutthroat style. And he had tweeted, great to get on a flight for another one and done. And, he wasn't saying they're going to lose, but he was saying if they lose, it sucks that that's it for them and for their weekend. And I agree. I mean, I don't think it's fair, and I think it's great. I like seeing the Halo style where you have groups, and then from groups it goes into the bracket. I don't see why we can't do that with CDL, but, I'm hoping more pros start complaining, and maybe we'll finally see some changes, because some of them just complain and then don't actually want to make change. And I think the way these tournaments are going, they are very detrimental to the mental health of the pros. So, we could see more people just have really emotional ends to the tournament from here onwards, But anyway, Legion, like I said, 5th/6th place. They won $20K. They beat Thieves. They had one of the craziest comebacks we've ever seen in Hardpoint, and especially this season. 10-point, 31-19 in this first Hardpoint. They were down 63-206 Thieves, and then they ended up beating them 250-233. I mean, that is insane.
63-206, you'd think it's over at that point. Because it's kind of impossible because you have to play almost perfectly to not let them get most of the time from any point.
Yeah, exactly. And they did play perfectly. I mean, it was crazy. Clay at the end also popped off holding on that point just to get those last 5 or 8 seconds, I think it was. I mean, they were going crazy. It was amazing to see. They were super close on the S&D. Legion, won still 6-5. 13-8 for Clayster in the S&D. And, Clay in the S&D, usually for Legion, he does show up a lot. Sometimes he pulls out the sniper. Obviously, 2 Real still needs to work on his S&D, but obviously that also isn't why they brought him onto the team. They needed someone that was good at control, someone that was good at the respawns. And I think, he's kind of giving them that. they do still need to work on that control.
Yeah, I think they're really showing up an improvement like on hard point, but still definitely need work on control.
I mean, honestly, I don't even know what they need to change in control. I watch them play, and I'm just like, I don't know what they can change really. Like that's short term, you know. It kind of seems like they need to work on their control from the ground up. Like literally just start from scratch. I think that's really the only way. They had their second hard point hill time. Clay had 49 seconds, 10.37. TJ minute 7, 2 real 133. I mean, like, kind of shared duties,
Yeah.
which is good. And I think that's a good way to work on the hard point. And a lot of teams don't really think about it this way. A lot of teams rather send their SMGs out, do all the work, and then have your ARs just camp on the hard point. And sometimes that doesn't work out because, 4v2, you clear it off real quick.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not all sharing the points, like they'll clear the point and you're done.
Yeah. So, Legion did end up going out to Breach, I believe, right? Is that who they went out to?
Let me double check. I honestly can't remember too well, but they did end up going out and they lost to, Breach.
Breach. Okay, so they went out to
3-0.
Breach. Not terrible as a team, as a team to lose to. Breach has been looking very dominant recently. Beans has been looking great. So, but Legion, they made it so far, and it's amazing to see, and I'm so happy. And, Scump and Karma even got emotional seeing Clayster kind of, celebrate after their win against Thieves. And also, shout out to Clayster. He now has the second most tournament appearances in COD history overall. So, big ups to him.
Huge.
Now, moving on to the big news, OpTic. First, they made their losers bracket run. They won 5 matches, which 5 matches in a row is insane, first off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They finally beat Florida. That's a huge upset considering, Florida is basically their kryptonite. They even beat FaZe 3-1. Now, beating FaZe, that's kind of normal for OpTic. It's not very surprising. However, destroying them on the hard point, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've gone back and forth. I feel like there's never really a dominant team.
True. I agree on that one. They kind of go back and forth. That's why it's not very surprising if they beat FaZe or FaZe beats them.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
but
they beat
Florida's
each other.
bigger win. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They could have a completely different roster and they'll still lose to Florida. So this is pretty big for them.
And then they win those 2 matches to take it to the grand final versus Toronto. Now, this one, I did say, I don't know if you remember, in the first hard point, I was like, when OpTic come out this fast in a series and how they were playing in the first 2 maps, they almost never win. OpTic tend to win more when they start slow, pick it up, second, third map, not start super fast and try to end it quick. That's usually not how it works for them. And, another thing that I've talked about before, and I think you kind of agree on, is that the losers run is a little much. I mean, OpTic had to play 3 series in a day. That's a lot. That's not,
I mean, that's kind of, I guess that's kind of the whole incentive to not get into the losers bracket, but it's also a little much at the same time. I'm sure there's probably a better way to set it up, but I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, I think the best way to do it is just the Sunday should only be losers final, winners final, grand final. I don't think it should have to be. Oh wait, no, that basically is what it is, right? That'd still be 3 matches for them, because the loser of winners final plays in losers finals, and then from there it goes to grand finals. So never mind. It's still
they play an extra. Yeah, but there's an extra match in the day.
There's an extra match in the day. Yeah. So
but it is difficult to set up in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. They do have to change it though because it's not fair. And I mean, we've seen this now back to back. Same thing happened at Thieves last major. They made the same run, made it to grand finals, lost to FaZe. Why? Because they played 3 games in a day. That is a lot. 3 series in a day is a lot for anyone. And a lot of older players or maybe older pros and people that have watched COD for a long time are gonna be like, oh well, back in the day. Well, back in the day, no one really cared about, the mental well-being of players.
Also,
So
not even that, but also like the older games weren't so straining on your hands.
yeah,
Because
true.
the movement was, I mean, Scump when he was talking to our cities was saying that by the end of his run, he was icing his hand multiple times a week.
Damn.
Because it's just straining on your hands the way you have to play.
Yeah, so having to do a 3 series, 4 series run it's insane.
Yeah.
But either way, OpTic, their control was super close, but OpTic won 3-2. Dash went 29-19, which was
Crazy.
insane. Scrap did then go 32-20 in the second hard point, and Hixie went 25-21. I mean, everyone kind of had some really good stats, I would say, for the grand.
Yeah.
Look, as grand finals go, it was entertaining. It was very, very
yeah.
entertaining to watch. And look, I love OpTic. I was an OpTic fan, and I still am an OpTic fan, but I do think they needed a wake-up call, and I'm hoping this was their wake-up call. I kind of didn't, I always root for OpTic, but I also didn't feel like they deserved the win because of just them blaming everything else except their, themselves. And I don't think that's
they
fair.
always. I think OpTic fans do the same thing though, where it's like they'll blame it on everything they possibly can,
right?
Before just saying, "Hey, maybe the team's just bad."
Like at one point, I forgot when they ended up in losers bracket, Hex was like, "Well, Ghosty's headphones kept falling out. His headphones kept falling out." I'm like, first off, how is the headphones falling out when you have a headset on top of the headphones? How do they keep falling out? And second off, why don't you change the tips?
Yeah, I'm sure you can
get different tips. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. Like, that's a stupid excuse to be like, that's why they lost. They lost because they didn't play well. Now, in the grand final, they did play well. Ghosty looked like a completely different player, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had 3 rookies up there. We had Ghosty, Hixie, and Scrap. Now, Scrap, to me, already, I forget he's a rookie because of how he carries himself, how he plays. I see him as just like another pro. But Hixie and Ghosty, that was kind of the main thing everyone was talking about. And personally, for me, I didn't want Ghosty to get MVP because him getting MVP at this pretty much guaranteed that they were going to give him Rookie of the Year. That's kind of how it felt.
Yeah, I don't know. People were talking a lot of smack about Hixie.
Yeah,
I think when he first joined, I don't believe we ever did. I might be wrong. I don't think we ever did.
I think the only thing we ever talked about is that maybe dropping Standy was not the best idea, but we never talked smack about Hixie. We kind of just said we'll see what happens. Because I didn't know anything about Hixie, so
I did talk smack about Ghosty.
So. I 100% talk smack about. And to be honest, we'll see how he continues because for most of this LAN event, he wasn't that great. He didn't really show up until the last 2 series. And of course, that's obviously a good thing because that's when they needed him the most. But at the same time, he didn't feel like Ghosty to me still doesn't feel like he's part of OpTic. He kind of just feels to me like a sub player and not like an integrated member of the team. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, even when he joined, I didn't really understand what his role would be, and I still kind of don't see what his role is on the team. Yeah. But Toronto Ultra though.
I mean, I was so happy for them, the way like Hixie reacted, the way Scrap, and I'll give it to Scrap, for the way he played because he was on fire during this. I mean, like final control 35-22. That's insane. He got MVP and it was deserved. Some people said maybe 100%. Kleenex deserved it, but I think Scrap also really deserves it. And, he gave his speech. They saved him for last thinking he's going to talk smack, and he didn't. He said, you know what? Thank you, everyone. He said, we love you all. He's like, even the OpTic fans out there, we love you all. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for all the support. Like, he was, I think he it shows that, like, he talks smack not because he's, like, arrogant, but he does it for the entertainment. Because, he got MVP and they won, and he didn't talk smack. He just said thank you.
He's not over there saying that they big dicked the team.
Yeah. He didn't pull an
post-match interview.
Yeah. I mean, so I was happy for them, and me, I've been a Scrap fan since he came up this season. I literally been rooting for Scrap. I love how Scrap plays. I love his entertainment value, the way he talks. I think it's great. I love it.
Also, maybe I think his mom was there, so maybe that's.
That too.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, but also, I like him because we lost Krim, and Krim was kind of that guy that used to do the smack talking, and
Yeah.
he was always funny with it. You never thought of it as like disrespectful. You would just laugh, even if he was like against your team.
Yeah.
And I want Scrap to be like that guy, and he has the potential. He is an amazing player at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But, OpTic in the end lost 4-2 in their own grand final. I'm hoping this is kind of like a wake-up call for them,
I mean, the run was crazy, though, and second place isn't bad.
Yeah, look,
So
at the end of the day, I think if they play one less series that day, they win the final.
maybe. I don't
I
know.
think,
It's hard to say.
obviously it's hard to say. It's very hard to say. But, I do think maybe their odds go up a little bit because, playing that much in a day, like you said, that's got to be tiring on your hands, on your mental. Like, it's just a very tiring thing to do. So, or maybe even if they don't win, maybe they take it to the game 7, But kind of didn't happen. And at the end of the day, OpTic finally looked like a better team in this grand final, and I think that's the most
100%.
important thing.
100%.
I think they still have some work to do, I would say. Sometimes, and I think we saw it in this grand final that they were doing it. Shotzi and Hook need to slow down, just hold your spot. You know what I mean? You don't have to run everywhere, especially if it's only you two on the hard point. You don't need to both go out. Wait till your ARs come in. And we saw them doing that. I saw, at one point, Shotzi just he knew another, the enemy was there, like right there for him to take the kill, and he didn't go. He waited, stayed on the point, waited for his teammates to come take the point so he could go out. And I think that's
just crazy to see.
Yeah, it's insane. And I think that's really what they needed, and we've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
Overall, I think for me personally, it was probably the most entertaining final we've seen so far this season, at least personally. I don't know how you feel.
Honestly, don't know. I feel like all the finals have been pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
but it's cool that we've gotten to see 3 different winners.
Yes, for
that's
sure.
That's another cool thing. But we'll see if any team can actually win more than one major.
Sure. Yeah.
And another cool thing that I think Nameless mentioned this was that Toronto's team, all the players were at one point subs for Toronto. So rather than just like picking up like a new player like every other team does, they're kind of using like the people that they already have rather than, and they subbed Standy, I think. I don't think they dropped him.
No, yeah, he's a sub.
Like,
he's a sub.
So like they're not like, I don't know.
They're actually rotating their team.
Exactly. They're not. Yeah. They're actually using subs the way you're supposed to use subs.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, oh, we have that sub. He's never gonna play, and we're just gonna pick up a new player.
Because I didn't know. Because Hicksy said it in his speech. He was like, "Oh, I got picked up at the end of Cold War by Toronto, and I was sitting on the bench." And he's like, even up to a week before I came into the main roster, he's like, I was thinking about going back to EU and competing. I was like, he's been a sub for that long. Like that's crazy. And crazy, I give them props for keeping him on and having faith that maybe he was gonna come in handy, and he did. And you never know. Maybe Standy comes back in at some point for another player. Like,
yeah, I could see that.
I think the way they're doing it is, for sure the best way to do it, rather than OpTic that every goddamn major they're trying to buy someone new, which is kind of crazy. Or Florida as well. They did kind of the same thing.
I feel like that also just adds stress to the players because I'm like, if I underperform, I'm gonna be next to go.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a great major. I mean, OpTic seemed to always host probably the best major of the season usually. Yeah. And I think it has a lot to do with the venue. Obviously, the venue is specifically set up for tournaments compared to some of the other venues that get chosen. So, it's great. And all the watch parties, and also CDL, peak viewership, 335,000 viewers, I believe. And that is including watch parties. It is not just CDL. Scump had like 160K at one point, I'm pretty sure. Still more than the CDL. So, but it's great. Hopefully the CDL keeps growing, and hopefully, something comes to actually keep the CDL around, because at the moment, they don't have a broadcast deal, so who knows how long they're going to last. But yeah, congratulations to Toronto. And, also congratulations to OpTic for making it to second place.
Yeah, it would have been sad to see them get 8th.
Yeah. But until then, guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Get us to 70 subscribers. We just need one more, guys.
Please.
Thank you.
Could be you.
Could be you. Could be you, little Tim. Little Tim Tam. Could be you. And until the next one. Peace, guys.
Peace.